It's 6:30. I'd like to start the meeting. If everybody could take a seat. Mauricio?
Commissioner Goldman? Here. Commissioner Lama?
Here.
Commissioner Vizcarra?
Here.
Vice Mayor Svechin?
Here.
Mayor Scholl?
Here.
All members present.
Okay, if we could rise for the pledge. Norman, you're up first.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excellent. Okay, Rabbi Kaler. Well, I just came back from Colorado. I think I saw the most expensive Chabad in the country sitting on Main Street in Aspen, Colorado. I was going to take my picture in front and send it to you, but I never made it there.
I just actually visited with Rabbi Mintz in Aspen.
You did? Yeah.
Just a few weeks ago.
No, he's very well regarded there. Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, I would like to actually start a little bit different today, and I would like to ask everyone present to please rise and to honor the memory of the father of our former Chief Fred Maas, who I just learned just passed recently. And I would like to extend our condolences on behalf of the entire community to Chief Maas. You may be seated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Condolences, Chief. Honorable Commissioners, Mr. Mayor, in less than 3 weeks, we are going to celebrate the festival, the holiday of Purim, the most joyous Jewish holiday, the anniversary of the miracle recorded in the biblical book of Esther. And in synagogues and homes the world over, the book will be read aloud by the communities. When Mordechai asks his cousin Queen Esther to use her influence to avert Haman's plan for annihilation of the Jewish people, at first she's afraid. She doesn't believe that she has much of a chance of success and doesn't believe that her attempts would succeed. More so, is afraid that it would put her position and her life at risk. Why stick your neck out for an attempt that would probably fail? Mordechai rebukes her, and he says, if you are silent at this time, the salvation and rescue will come to the Jews in some other way, but you and your family will forever be lost. And who knows, perhaps it was for just such a time that you achieved royalty. You did not get where you are by an accident. Rather, God put you there, and he did it for a reason. I'm not a prophet, says Mordechai, but perhaps this is the very reason why you became a queen. If you let it go, God will find another way to achieve his will, but you and your family will be consigned to infamy. All of us in this chamber are exactly where we are, done so by divine providence. We didn't achieve our respective positions by an accident or our own efforts alone. God selects us and puts us exactly where we belong, where we have to be, so that we can do his will. And sooner or later, we are challenged to do the right thing rather than what is convenient. And if we refuse or that challenge, our careers will have been for nothing. Almighty God, grant our mayor and commissioners the wisdom to recognize your call when it comes, and the courage to grasp the nettle firmly, that you will be done. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you very much. Okay. If everybody reviewed the commission meetings minutes from January 16th?
Yes.
Do I hear a motion to
So
approve?
moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Minutes are approved. Could we roll the tape for the opening statement?
Gentlemen, welcome, and thank you for being here tonight. Please turn off or mute any electronic devices to avoid interrupting these proceedings. In all issues that come before the City Commission, we ask that everyone show mutual respect for one another by listening quietly to each person speaking, and that everyone refrain from any clapping, heckling, or verbal outbursts in favor or in opposition to a speaker. Individuals that do not adhere to Chapter 74, Rules of Procedure of the Code, particularly Section 74-21, Decorum, shall be barred from further appearance before the Commission. Individuals who want to speak on any item on the agenda are asked to fill out a public speaker's card and give it to the city clerk before the item is called. Speakers are asked to speak to the issues, make comments concise and to the point, and refrain from making duplicate comments. All speakers will be limited to 3 minutes. If you speak out of turn without permission from the chair and/or do not cease speaking after one warning, you will be escorted out of the chambers.
Okay, we have some changes to our agenda. We're going to move 5D up, which is to the beginning of our special presentations. We've got some add-ons. 10R, expressing support for penalties for criminal violations for condo associations. 10S, SIB to join Florida Hate Crime Coalition. 10T, a mutual aid agreement with the town of Medley. 10U, First Amendment to agreement with Pay by Phone. We got 2 discussion item add-ons, 12A, FDOT improvements at Oliver Park, and a City Advisory Committee 12B add-on. Long agenda tonight. Do I hear a motion to accept the changes to the agenda?
Moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Okay, we're going to start with, we've got a very special presentation tonight, which is always exciting. Chief, you want to come up? We've got a promotion within our police department, a very special one.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Commission. Again, this is a very special night for us, and thank you very much for giving us the time to do this in front of our Commission. I would first like to welcome our special guests and family members and fellow officers that we have in the chamber. We also would like to extend a very special thanks to a very special guest, and that's former Chief Fred Moss, who I know Eddie Santiago is extremely proud to have here tonight, so we appreciate him being here. I wish to start by thanking our city manager, our mayor, and commissioners for the tremendous support you have always given this police department over the years, but especially during my tenure as chief. It has been greatly appreciated and will never be taken for granted. As the chief, nothing gives me a greater sense of satisfaction and pride than to see our officers develop over the years to eventually fill command-level positions as part of our organizational succession plan. As an agency, we are extremely blessed to have a strong, well-trained, and dedicated group of supervisors currently in position to ensure the future leadership needs of the department. But the current need for strong leadership at the top of the divisional levels is crucial. With that being said, it gives me great pleasure to first welcome back Captain Michael Grandinetti, who accepted a position to return and oversee our administrative division. As you know, Captain Grandinetti is an original founding member of this police department who has an extraordinary wealth of knowledge in the area of police administration, as well as a unique historical perspective of the department's inner workings. I have every confidence that he will be a tremendous asset to the agency moving forward, and we certainly welcome you back, Mike. This next person needs no real introduction, as he's known by nearly everybody in the city and actually well beyond that. Eddie Santiago is a 25-year police veteran and is one of the founding members of our police department. He has always had a reputation of getting the job done regardless of his assignment or the difficulties of a given task. He has risen through the ranks and has served in both uniform patrol and criminal investigations, which has enhanced his overall experience with handling complex situations. His leadership style is respected as he truly exemplifies leading by example each and every day. He has served as the acting division commander for the Police Operations Division for over the last year with distinction and has been a motivating force of our enhanced visibility and traffic enforcement programs. Eddie is a graduate of Barry University and from the Southern Police Institute, where he successfully completed the prestigious Command Officers Development course in 2017. It's with tremendous pride, and especially before our City Commission, his family, and friends, to officially promote Edward Santiago to the rank of Police Captain. This promotion is a long time coming and very, very well deserved. Congratulations, Eddie.
It'll only hurt for a moment. Don't worry, Ed. That's right. Oh, now we're talking. Very good. All right. Congratulations, Eddie.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
So happy.
Well deserved.
Okay. Boy, that was special. I think we're going to call Captain Grandinetti the Don Corleone of police captains. You know, when he was out, they pulled him back in. So, okay, we're going to move on to item 5A, which is an update on our DBPR.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. As many of you in the audience know, we recently passed a resolution to have someone come from the DPPR here in Sunny Isles Beach to help with some of our challenges involving our condos. And last week, we traveled to Tallahassee. It was the city manager, Commissioner Vizcarra, and I. Excuse me, I'm getting over a cold. And we had a great meeting with the secretary of DBPR. Secretary Halsey Bashirs was very happy to receive us. He said mostly when people come to visit, they come with complaints. And they were very tense for a little while, but when we started offering up solutions, as Chris may elaborate, he did the presentation, they were thrilled to hear that we are so engaged and that we have potential solutions. So I want everyone here who was waiting for some sort of update to know that we did keep our promise. We went to Tallahassee, we met with the top person at DBPR, and they will be coming down here to potentially meet with us or provide some sort of next steps. Chris, did you want to add anything?
There isn't much to add. It was a very positive meeting. The secretary had 3 of his top assistants there who are career bureaucrats, so to speak, in Tallahassee. They seemed engaged with it. They were thinking about it. We got very good feelings that, we'll be able to work something out. And they certainly, we're happy that we weren't afraid to offer, suggestions, offer to provide them with the office space, whatever the cost may be to have them here. As I mentioned last meeting, it's somewhat similar to what we've done with the fire department. And we actually talked about that. It was a little bit of a joke, but it might take longer to get to Doral, where they have a field office, than it does to get up to Tallahassee. So we're really looking at, having somebody here in our city.
Okay, we've got 2 public speakers on 5A. Vladimir? And we officially have a shot clock now. So we're getting like.
Thank you.
Where is it?
All right.
There it is. Okay. There we go.
Yeah. So Vladimir Sipos, 291 74th Street, Unit 814, and that's Winston Towers 700. Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Commissioners, on behalf of a group of homeowners and myself, I would like to thank you for approving during the previous Commission meeting a resolution authorizing designee to petition for obtaining an arbitrator to perform arbitration pursuant to statute 718-1255. As you may already know, a large number of unit owners, including myself, have organized to stand against the Winston Tower 700 Condominium Board of Directors' decision to proceed with 40 years recertification project, which would have resulted in unreasonable high assessment to the unit owners. To summarize, without going into too many details, we believe that Board of Directors has hired an engineering firm of their own choice, which has not done inspection according to standards. And as a result, the cost of balcony repairs has been overinflated to the extent that it is equal several times the cost already incurred at other Winston Towers buildings for the similar scope of work. So in other words, we're getting ripped off. Yeah? So such assessment can result in filed bankruptcies and lost homes, especially for elderly people, who are living on a fixed income. So we do recognize that scope of arbitration under 718-1255 is limited, but we welcome any help we can get. individual unit owners are at disadvantage in this dispute. We have had problems getting allowed to inspect books and records, and we are entirely shut off from accessing some information. The board has been using every opportunity to criticize, belittle, and make us look incompetent through mass emails and pamphlets slipped under unit doors. Just yesterday, we were called dilettantes, novices, troublemakers, and an unruly group of people in a mass email campaign reaching all unit owners, even ones that live in Canada or elsewhere and who may not be familiar with what is actually going on. Yeah? So these unit owners are always and only get to hear one side of the story. With recently adopted internet voting, such misleading and dishonest email campaigns can have material impact on election results. So this is a serious problem. Yeah. To make things even harder for us, the board has been using the association lawyer, the privilege which we do not have, although we are paying for the same through our monthly assessment fees. Yeah? For all of these reasons and more, we welcome the initiative that the city is taking, and we hope that this is just the first step. And with that, I see that I'm at 0. So thank you very much.
Vladimir. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And I think the whole point of what we're doing is to try to have a platform for some of these issues. So, Ella?
First, I want to thank our mayor, our commissioners, our city leadership, and our city attorney and his staff for their support and hard work on this resolution and its passage. I did want to, address Dana Goldman's preemptive statement before her vote on the alternative dispute resolution because it sounded a bit like a member of the wedding party getting up to give a toast to the bride and groom on the pitfalls of marriage. It caused a bit of confusion and in the general population as to the efficacy at all of the resolution. Arbitration may be deemed, I wanted to go over a few of the facts that it does provide. Arbitration may be deemed non-binding or binding by agreement of all participating parties. Nothing in this provision shall be construed to foreclose parties from proceeding in a trial unless the parties have agreed to that arbitration and that arbitration is binding. The final decision, however, the arbitrator shall be admissible in evidence in a trial, including if you say no to arbitration. Also, the purpose of mediation is provided for to present the parties with an opportunity to resolve underlying disputes in good faith and with a minimum expenditure of time and resources. The arbitration decision shall be presented to the parties in writing. An arbitration decision is final in those disputes in which the parties have agreed to be bound. An arbitration decision is also final if a complaint for the trial is not filed in a court of competent jurisdiction within the location of the condominium within 30 days. Finally, the arbitrator in the final order may grant mandatory or prohibitory relief, including monetary damages, declaratory relief, or any other remedy or relief which is deemed just and equitable. But which types of disputes are excluded from arbitration mediation by the DPR? The types of disputes that are not covered by the DPR but allowable as a court action in either civil or criminal courts are any disagreement that primarily involves a title to a unit or a condominium, the interpretation or enforcement of any warranty, the levy of a fee or assessment, or the collection of an assessment levied against a party, the eviction or the removal of a tenant from a unit, and breaches of fiduciary duty by one or more directors, and claims for damages to a unit based on the alleged failure of the association to maintain the common elements of condominium property. So we do get a lot out of this resolution for our condominium owners, Dana, and I was discouraged by the way you opened it up. Thank you.
Thank you, Ella. Okay. Well, I guess our shot clock is accurate. It's working. There we go. It's talking to me. Okay. Public hearing is closed on 5A. Any other comments?
Can I just add that one of the things that was discussed was they certainly don't know our city, and so we made it clear how small we are and how many condos we have, and that was surprising to them. While this process is happening, I encourage everyone that has a complaint to keep sending those complaints to them, because they do keep track, and that is going to help them make a decision on what they're going to do. So continue dealing with the process as it is. It's obviously not perfect, but please continue to do what you've been doing.
I'd like to comment. So, as you know, Ella, I did support the resolution, and I'm very pleased to see us have representation here through the DBPR to have boots on the ground here to reflect the needs of the residents. So I wholeheartedly support it. I did receive comments from unit owners in the city, and I thought it was incumbent upon me to clarify what arbitration does and does not do. And in fact, that was actually corroborated by you in your presentation, because arbitration has a certain path and what it can accomplish and what it can't. And one of the things that often unit owners talk about when they have disputes or they have problems or challenges or issues is, where do I go? What's the forum? What's the jurisdiction? How do I get that matter resolved? So for me, it was a perfectly appropriate remark, and I'm glad that you supported that by clarifying that this evening.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay. This is just a, so these are just presentations, so we're going to move on to item 5B, City Manager's Awards.
Yeah, so as you know, once a year, at the end of the calendar year, we have a process by which we look for the outstanding employees within the organization, which either members of the department, other department heads and things put in nominations. And this year, we've awarded to two of our employees. Both have been with the city approximately, give or take, 3 years, and have been doing an outstanding job. I'm going to mention a little bit about both of them, then I'll ask them to come up and present them with the awards, and I'd like to take a picture with the commission. Genesis Cuevas is our purchasing agent. Genesis has been here for about 3 years. Okay. Besides all the organization she has gotten, this has been a project that I think I started about 2002, and I'm embarrassed to say we just had the success on it, and that is keeping track and organizing all our contracts with the city, so we're not doing things in a mad rush, that we know ahead of time when a contract's expiring, and have a checklist on what we need to do. These may seem like little things, but they're little things that bug the heck out of me, and we've achieved so much under her leadership there. But probably the most impressive thing with Genesis was when we had the challenge to the bidder on the Gateway Center build-out, which the proof is in the pudding, as they say. That project is going along incredibly smooth, incredibly well, and Genesis was on the witness stand, and you would have thought we were at the Supreme Court of the United States, the way she was cross-examined and everything on this, and she did an excellent job, and we won that case. The second individual is someone who's been here for, I think, a little less than 3 years, who I really didn't know that well until they moved their offices over to the 4th floor of the Government Center. And that's Miranda Tarr of our Media Division of the Cultural and Community Services Department. Miranda has, I mean, I don't know how she does it, frankly. I mean, she's a communications expert. She's a great writer. She's taking pictures. She's writing. And I can tell you this, it's a grueling task to have to do an article once a month for the newsletter, to quarterly for the Living magazine, The mayor's got his State of the City address, a number of other things. I'm sure I can speak for at least the mayor on this one. The commissioners have articles also. We all give her last-minute information, if you call it that, or she becomes like a very key person for us to get this done. It is very grueling. I mean, she takes the initiative on anything. I've never heard her say no. She's got an incredible level of creativity, professionalism, just expertise, and just excellence is no other way to put it. So Miranda and Genesis, please come up here and let me present you with these. And I'd like to get a picture with the commission.
As the manager pointed out, Miranda has saved me on countless occasions, so well deserved. And she's a great writer, so thank you. Okay, now we go on to item 5C, which is our Tree City USA designation. I didn't even know there was a Tree City USA.
Yes, there is.
And the letter's addressed to me, so I should know there's a Tree City USA. Right. Chris?
This is Catherine dealt with all this.
Okay, Catherine.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. The city has been named a Tree City USA community by the Arbor Day Foundation in recognition of our commitment to urban forestry and our active tree management program. In the coming weeks, you will start seeing street signs that look like that, that highlight the city's designation. We're going to put approximately 4 of them throughout the city. We're proud of this achievement as it furthers the city's E-Committed campaign to protect the environment and promote eco-friendly initiatives and save the trees. So this plaque was sent. I'm presenting it on behalf of the Arbor Day Foundation.
Very nice. So we can display this in the in the lobby of the chambers. There we are.
Very nice.
Very nice. While Catherine's up here, I'm going to go a little off topic, but we're also working on, we identified an intern in Taiwan. And so Catherine's been working on, she's been working with the department in Washington, D.C., where we get an intern, a cultural visa for the intern. So thank you, Catherine. And I know that's in the works because he texted me over the weekend and said, a lot of questions, and they want to know, they want to know a lot about him, but it's good. Thank you. Okay, very nice. Okay, that's it for our presentations. We are going to move on to our ordinances for first reading. We have no zoning hearings tonight. Item 7A.
7A is an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Sunny Isles Beach, Florida, amending ordinance number 2019-540, approving budget amendment number BA 1920-01 to the city's operating and capital improvement budget for the 2019-2020 fiscal year. The General Fund, Street Maintenance and Construction Fund, Building Fund, Public Art Trust Fund, Capital Projects Fund, Stormwater Fund, and Stormwater Capital Improvement Fund, authorizing the city manager to do all things necessary to implement the terms and conditions of this ordinance, providing for an effective date. And this is first reading.
Ms. Tiffany.
Honorable Mayor and Commission, this is being presented to you for your review and consideration. This is our first budget amendment for this fiscal year, and it's necessary for the following reasons. To record our fund balance carryovers as of 9/30/2019 and all funds except our stormwater funds. To record purchase order carryovers from the end of fiscal year 19, moving them over to the beginning of this fiscal year. There's some additional revenue from FEMA that we're going to finally get this year. And then some other minor expenditure appropriations. It also includes a transfer of funds from our HR department to our respective departments for the Mercer salary compensation study. And then because we didn't have any increases to health insurance, it actually includes a reduction within the respective departments for our health insurance expenditures. It includes a transfer of funds for our police step plan raises for this year, transferring them from the HR department to the police department. It includes a transfer of funds of $1 million to the Public Art Trust Fund from the general fund, as well as $125,000 to the Stormwater Fund for 3 stormwater pumps. And then in the Capital Projects Fund, it includes a transfer of $2.2 million from other capital projects to the utility undergrounding project, as well as a reallocation of the $300,000 that was budgeted for the condominium purchase. And lastly, it records individual capital project carryovers from the end of fiscal year 19, bringing them forward to the beginning of fiscal year 20.
Okay. Now, any questions?
I just,
Dana.
so I see on item G, there's a removal of the funding of the $300,000 for the condominium purchase, so that's basically no
Out.
longer out.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions?
No.
Okay.
So moved.
Do we hear a second?
Second.
Mauricio? Oh, I'm sorry. 7A, there is no public hearing for 7A. So public hearing's closed. Mauricio, want to call the vote?
Commissioner Goldman,
Yes.
Commissioner Lama,
Yes.
Commissioner Viscara,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Svechin,
Yes.
Mayor Scholl.
Yes.
The ordinance passes on first reading. Second reading will be March 19th.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tiffany. Okay, we move on to item 7B.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Sunny Isles Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 265 entitled Zoning of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Sunny Isles Beach, amending Section 265-31C2 to limit conditional uses in the city's single-family residential zoning district to family day child care and after-school care for children, providing for severability, providing for conflicts, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for an effective date, and this is first reading.
Okay, Ed, door number 2.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. What we're trying to do here is to limit the conditional uses that are possible in residential districts, zoning districts, to just daycare and aftercare programs. There are specific provisions in the code that provides that you cannot have more than 6 kids, and it has to be at least a 7,500 square foot lot. So we want to make sure that we're limiting uses in residential neighborhoods to residential uses.
Right. Okay, and we had, I think the last time this came up, my neighborhood turned out in force, which was
They're
good.
So
And,
They're here.
and we're trying to,
They're here again. I see Sue back there. You know, where's Gustavo? So, but they're here again. And but the good news is, I think we all heard you. We went back to the well. Same intent as the first round, but I think it's got more teeth in it this time. So I think we've cleaned it up a little bit. So we've got 2 public speakers on this one. Rumi.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Rumi. Regarding 7B, because this is our neighborhood, and I see people talk about, and I consider if it's possible, I think it's possible if you wanted to hear the people from neighborhoods. the 2 lots is on Atlantic Boulevard to consider to be buy from the city. Can be park, can be for dog, for anything else. Please, this is to the end of Atlantic where it's close to the bridge, you know, for which there are 2 lots.
Yeah.
And the next lot is the city. It's not big enough, but can be something like playground for the kids to play, or tennis, or whatever. Just please, I heard some gossip about these lots. That's why we are concerned. To be not something's happened. Please, I don't want to have a mistake this time as before for Publix. Please, the city have money. Just buy. And after, you're gonna decide what you're gonna do, because that is gonna be together with your property now, which is not big. You cannot do nothing on this small space. And I speak with some people from the neighborhood, and they're thinking about that, but because exactly now the 7B is about that. Later on, I'm gonna ask question about when it's gonna start underground project in our neighborhood. I know it's on the way, but which year? I know. You
Thanks,
know
Remy.
what I mean. It's too long. If I see many things, can I continue to speak about something else?
So we have a clock now, so basically,
So I think she's asking if she can speak on another
Okay.
item.
Oh, on another item? Well, you signed up for the, you signed up to speak in the general, so,
Yes.
so let's stay on point. Good, thank you, Rumi. Okay. Ari Steiger?
Good evening, Ari Steiger, 262 Atlantic Island. On this 7B, I don't understand why it was brought up to begin with. Why do we put up this amendment or whatever it is?
Chris, you want to, because we had an issue.
We didn't have any issues with it before, so why bring it up? I mean, the language on it, I'll
No, we didn't have an issue in our neighborhood. We had an issue in Golden Shores.
But it should be, in general, all the
It
private
is.
houses.
It is, but the point is we had an issue. That's why it was brought up.
Yeah, no, we had an
Okay,
issue.
So we should eliminate it altogether, that no religious.
That's what it's
That's
doing.
what's going
It's
on.
eliminating
no
all
religious,
religious.
no
That's what we're doing.
Kids or whatever it is.
That's what we're doing.
Well, kids, we
And the
can't.
language
Yeah,
on it,
yeah.
our president
Hold on,
brought
one at a time.
it to the
Chris.
attorney,
Chris, why don't you explain it?
Well,
and I'll read you what he said. What intent of the language is for, and that the attorney who understands English say that the language is too ambiguous and no one understands the definition and what they are trying to accomplish.
Okay.
So
Well-
we need more definition of the.
All right, the good news is, we have a city attorney,
Right.
okay? You know, he's signing off on it. I could get 5 attorneys in here, and I could get 5 different opinions about how it's written and how the legals, and so I'm gonna, in this case, we rely on our city attorney, but what I can tell you he did was, we strengthened it, which is really what we wanted to
We
do.
can ban it altogether?
Well,
ban.
I don't think we can ban the
Try-
daycare. I don't think we can ban the daycare. That's the 6-kid daycare.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ed.
Thanks. We were tasked with looking into the religious facilities because of an issue that previously arose in the city. Not in your neighborhood, but in another residential neighborhood. So we did the research and we came up with this proposal to eliminate religious facilities as a conditional use in residential districts. I've not done the research on childcare. I don't know why that would be a problem. I've not been made aware of any issues with childcare in residential neighborhoods.
So,
Before the second reading, can we define it or
Define,
the language on it?
well, I mean, I think that what are you
What
asking
we're
for?
doing
Just
is
to
we're
be clear.
striking the language that's in the current code to eliminate religious facilities in residential neighborhoods. I can't make it any clearer than
And
that.
kindergarten and
No.
No, we didn't touch the daycare.
We've
Yeah.
not touched the daycare.
Yeah, we didn't touch the daycare because it's 6 kids or less. You got to have a certain lot size. It's been there forever. We've never had an issue with it. So it was something that it wasn't broke. We didn't feel like that we needed to fix it. But, I mean, we can look at it. You're saying before second reading, they can take a look at it. But,
Should.
yeah, so, okay.
Okay,
So, yeah,
thank you.
thanks, Ari. Okay, public hearing's closed for 7B. Any more comments from the commission?
No.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Mauricio?
Commissioner Lama,
Yes.
Commissioner Viscara,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Svechin,
Yes.
Commissioner Goldman,
Yes.
Mayor Scholl.
Yes.
The ordinance passes on first reading. Second reading will be March 19th.
Okay, great. Okay, that's it for our ordinances. We're going to move to resolutions. We've got some kids from the school here today, from our K through 8 school. I'm going to let them go first, okay? Because it's school tomorrow and we have a very long agenda. So Zabra, all yours. Zabra sits up here because she's the head of the student government at the K through 8 school. So this is this has been kind of a ritual for us for many years now. Okay, girls.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. I am Zahra Ronizi, President of the Student Government Association at Norman S. Edelcup Sunny Isles Beach K-8. And this is my Vice President, Ariella Brisk, and my ESAC representative, Michelle Fritkin. We are here today on behalf of the Student Government Association to discuss a pressing issue at our school. The City of Sunny Isles Beach launched a new campaign called E-Committed to promote and foster more eco-friendly and eco-driven adjustments that everyone can make in their daily lives to help save the planet. This new campaign puts us a step forward as a community and encourages others to be aware of the environment's well-being and to take action to preserve our beautiful planet Earth. For the past few years, the residents of Sunny Isles Beach have been working alongside the city to be more eco-friendly by saving electricity and water, as well as finding unique ways to implement renewable resources to provide services for residents and visitors. As the future generation of Sunny Isles Beach, we students have also been working hard alongside school officials to implement new rules and to be more e-committed in order to preserve our environment. This includes eliminating the use of plastic straws in our school cafeteria. The Student Government Association has been working together these past few months to come up with new methods and alternatives to make our school more green. One of the popular requests from our students is to add recycling bins to our cafeterias. Our principals and school officials were delighted with this suggestion.
Unfortunately, the school board no longer provides recycling bins for Miami-Dade County Public Schools, so we have to find a way to provide our school with recycling bins on our own. Therefore, we're here today to ask the city to provide the school with the proper funding to afford the bins. A 50-gallon Rubbermaid recycling container with wheels for easier access costs about $120. But we wish to have at least 2 bins to make recycling an easier task and to help it better adapt our lifestyles.
We, alongside the rest of the Student Government Association and school officials, have been doing research for the past 3 months to find an effective method to receive bins while saving money. We are asking the city on behalf of the school for the funding of around $500 to buy the recycling bins and take action to become an e-committed school.
As students of Norman S. Edelcup Sunny Isles Beach School and as residents of Sunny Isles Beach, we appreciate the effort that you all have been implementing to help save our planet Earth and to improve our local community and the environment for the well-being of our beloved citizens. Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners, for your time, and we hope to work with you in the future to make our school more e-committed.
Good job. Okay. So the question is, if you get the bins, who's going to empty them?
We know that the janitor empties out. We have a recycling bin on the 4th floor for one of the teachers, and she said that the janitors have a recycling bin. And I am also aware that the recycling company of the city comes on Mondays and Thursdays, so if we could stop by the school to collect our recycling, then that would be
Okay, so what you're saying is it would be a one-time expense. You're saying that if we bought the bins, if we gave you the funding for the bins, it would be a one-time expense. There's already a mechanism for getting recycled goods out of the school,
Yes.
correct? You sure?
Yes.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
so. We
okay.
double-checked, yeah.
Okay, so if you're sure, it's easy. I think we could all agree, okay? You know, what we've got to be careful of is because the school is run by the school board, you know, that it's difficult for us to fund things for them without getting a bunch of agreements with them. But I don't think that it would be difficult for us to agree to commit the $500 for the recycling bins. So I don't think, is there any objection?
None.
No?
No objection.
See, there's something we can all agree upon for once. You see, you guys are good. So, okay, so you win. Good job. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
And you don't have to stick around for the whole meeting if you get, you know, it's okay. That was the whole idea, getting you up there early. So, okay. All right. Thank you, Zabra. Okay, item 10A. We're going to move on to resolutions.
A resolution approving an agreement with Team Contracting, Inc. for design, construction, and restoration services for the Pelican Community Center.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager, City Attorney, and staff. What we have tonight is a project we've been working on for a while. It's a mass renovation of the Pelican Community Center. There's a multitude of about 22 items we need to address. We found a contractor that allows us to lump it all together into a package. And we're here tonight to get that awarded and move forward.
Okay, any questions for Richard?
No.
Nope. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. 10B.
A resolution approving a First Amendment to the agreement with Azulejo, Inc. to provide additional bus shelter relocation and refurbishing services.
Good evening again. This is a project we've been working on in two phases. The first phase, we moved 7 bus shelters and reset them on structural slabs to make them hurricane resistant, as well as replacing the structures at the same time. This before you is to do this phase 2 portion, which is an additional 5 bus stop locations.
Okay, any questions regarding the bus shelters?
No.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second? All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Motion carries. Item 10C.
A resolution ratifying change order number 2 and approving change order number 3 to the agreement with Nunez Construction, Inc. for the Gateway Park Center project.
Okay, this item here is associated with the Gateway Park, as it says. Through the ongoing construction, we've had a change order number 1, which we presented to you all for approval. We had a subsequent change order 2, which was a credit to change order 1 based on doing a few less items. That hadn't been brought to you because it was a credit at this point. We have change order 3, which is some additional services to double the size of the storage area and add some special cameras to our kitchen training area, which will allow us to video and tape and follow progress there for kitchen use and prep. And it also includes $1 million plus in direct purchases that the city will be doing as part of the project, which will then save us about $78,000 in taxes.
Any questions regarding the change order? No?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Okay, item 10D.
10D.
Let me just read the title. A resolution approving an agreement with Tadio's Engineering, Inc. for the design build services of a pavilion shade structure at Newport Fishing Pier.
This resolution is to award a design build contract. We've been looking at providing a shade structure to on our piers to get some shade over and benches out there for the people that utilize the pier. Tonight I have with me the consultant we're looking to use. He's got a quick presentation on the type of structures we're looking at. We're looking to do something that's going to be in Sunny Isle Beach's level of expertise, I would say. So it's going to be more architectural than you might see in other places, but I think you'd all enjoy it. So I'd like to introduce Giorgio Antonazio.
Okay. And after Giorgio's done, we've got a couple of public speakers on this issue. Okay.
Thank you very much. Giorgio Antoniassi of Antoniassi Architecture. Thank you for giving us this opportunity today to present this proposal for pavilions on the Newport Fishing Pier. We're very excited to be able to have this time to present in front of you and, of course, the community of Sunny Isles Beach. It's not every day we get to design for the public realm and to improve a public space that is, of course, a reflection of the cultural values of our city. So I start with this image because I'm going to present two different proposals that are included in this presentation, each of varying levels of architectural expression, if you will. The RFP that was put out asked for 11 pavilions, 10 of which are 5 by 20 feet long, which would allow for circulation on either side of the pavilion and allow for a shaded area in the middle of it. The last pavilion is at the very tip of the pier, and it is about 10 by 20 feet wide, so it's a little bit larger. The RFP also asks for the pavilions to be sea inspired or have some sort of connection to the ocean. This first proposal we call the Hydrozoan sail, and really what inspired us, which is the inspiration for the pavilion that I'm going to show next, both in coloration and in form. We see the pavilions here. They're shaped, and their shape is inspired by the sail that we see in the creature in this actual slide, which is actual, even though it's kind of a scary sort of thing to see on the beach, it's actually a very beautiful animal, both in coloration and in shape. The sail kind of crest that it has at the top is used to catch wind and move it across the ocean and make it reach different locations. What you see here are the 10 sails kind of spaced along the pier and two different variations. Here is if they were to be sort of grouped towards the front of the pier, and in the previous photo they are more evenly spaced starting right as you enter the pier. Their kind of tall shape is meant to increase shading capacity of the structure. Since they are fairly narrow, 5 by 20 feet wide, their height will allow for lower sun to provide shade during lower sun periods of the day. Also, the material that you see on the face is a perforated colored metal panel that will allow for filtered light. So even though you're being shaded, it won't be a dark shade, and you won't get these moments of complete shade and complete sun as you walk past the panels to the pier. It's more of a natural, more trellis-oriented lighting that you'll get. Each pier is also will be outfitted with a bench underneath. We're showing here two different types. One is a linear element that spans the full 20 feet under the shading structure, and the other one forms a break, which allows both for passage through the pavilion as well as perhaps accessible seating for somebody. Here's a more close-up look. So you can see here a little bit of the transparency of the panel. It's perforated, so you may ask, how are we protecting people from the elements, such as the rain, for example? The panel, the main roof that you see solid underneath here will catch the rain. You see here more of an illustration of how the vertical nature of this structure really provides shade during a lower sun period of the day, instead of only providing shade from above, which is very difficult to do in such a narrow structure. Here's a diagram that kind of explains the materials of the structure. You see perforated metal panels, the opportunity to perhaps have graphics on the gables, and our, of course, inspirational image at the top right. Here is an elevation showing, two different options for spacing along the pier. I believe the original RFP asked for them to be grouped more towards the front. However, as we move forward, we may explore spacing them out a bit differently. We have to deal with changes in elevation in the pier, so that's something that we'll study as we move forward. Here's an axonometric of the shading structures more evenly spaced out throughout the pier, and then more how the original proposal is meant to have. I think both can work. This is two images of the large pavilion at the end of the pier, which is kind of the crown jewel of the whole thing. When you get to the end, it's a little bit bigger, and of course, it's expressed in its architecture as well. The second pavilion, it's a little bit more restrained. It's meant to be camouflaged, itself within the environment, almost disappearing, if you will. So it's more of a thin structure, and it has its benefits as well. The inspiration for this particular structure and its connection to the sea is really the waves that you often see when you see a manta ray or stingray swimming. You'll see this kind of wave motion that seems to perpetuate forever. So we would have 11 pavilions, each with these waves sort of changing position from one to the other. Here's an up-close image of the large pavilion at the end. As you can see, it's very subtle, and the flat surface actually provides for the opportunity to perhaps include some other elements like photovoltaic panels. With that being said, that is our presentation, and we're open for any questions you may have.
Thank you. Nice job. Okay, we've got two public speakers, and then we'll see if there's any questions. Izzy?
It's Izzy Ilkovic, 17201 Collins Avenue, 3904, full-time resident of Sunny Isles for many years. Honorable Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager, City Attorney. I'm here representing a group of fishermen who share the same opinion with me. We are absolutely against building a canopy on the fishing pier, meaning a canopy behind the yellow line that we call the T. The T area behind the yellow line is designated for fishing only. The canopy would interfere with casting out because this is a very small area. We don't have objection if you approve to build a canopy or the pavilions along the pier, like a lot of others pier have, so the visiting people can sit down and relax. We don't need benches on the T where we fish. It is not safe to sit there because of high risk of getting hooked. We think this is a big liability for the city to promote sitting for general public on the T where we fish. I don't know whose idea this is, but we fishermen never complained about the sun. Okay, we don't have problem with being on the sun. Please do not take away from us the pleasure we get from fishing. I think the city can put to good use the $420,000, and I'm not trying to tell you how to spend the money. This canopy will be high maintenance for the city and will only last to the first hurricane, and then we will have to rebuild it. There is many things we need to be done on the fishing pier. Only one comes to my mind is the running water. Didn't last too long after the plumbers installed the new water lines, and after a short period of time the water is not running again. Honorable Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, please do not allow this shade construction on the T. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Izzy. Okay. Carlos? Sure. Bring it down. We got props. There we go.
I'm probably the first one that's ever come fishing here.
That's true. That's true. Okay.
I appreciate the architect's hard work, and I'm here just basically...
Carlos, just your name and address for the record.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Carlos Calzadilla, Winston Towers, 300. Thank you for letting me address the commission.
Sure.
I agree with the gentleman. Basically, what I'm talking about is the area east of the yellow line. Yeah. He mentioned that his canopy is going to be 20 feet wide. I brought with me a 12-foot Daiwa surf rod. The reason that I need a 12-foot surf rod is the fish that we catch are basically about 300 yards out, so we need to have a surf rod to fish with. Okay, this is a 12, I'll be careful. I'm a retired captain from the airline, so I'm going to be safe. This is a 12-foot rod. Look at how much room I need.
Yeah.
Okay, this gentleman says 20 feet. May I approach the,
sure.
Or somebody to show? This is an 8 ounce lead.
Yeah.
Do you want to have your family anywhere near?
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My surf rod, okay?
There you go.
And have your kids anywhere near that 8 ounce. I think that's a bad idea. It's not safe. Sure, build it, but build it on the west side. People can have their shade, and we're going to have our fishing area in the back.
Understood. Thank you, Carlos. Thank you. Very good. Okay. Public hearing is closed. Chris, I think you got your marching orders on this one. So.
Well, you know, I'm just curious.
I'm not going to argue with the fishermen.
How long you've been fishing here or not? There's been a tiki hut type of covering out on the previous pier, and I don't know exactly how many years or not. I don't know if Norman knows or remembers, but there always was at least a covering out at the T of the pier for many years. We're going to go back and look at that because the fishing group had never complained about that. But we'll take a look at it. We'll definitely look at that.
Yeah, but I think what they're, I think what they're, you know, the fact is the shade structure is down the main, you know, down the main promenade.
Well, that doesn't seem like a problem.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be a problem.
But I got to go back and look at that because, like I said, there was a covering out there for years.
Yeah. So okay, but I think it's clear from the feedback that we can revisit that aspect of it, and I don't think it materially affects the project. So, okay. Any other comments? You want to? Can I get a motion with giving the staff the authorization to kind of revisit that issue?
Yeah, I'm so moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Okay. Thank you for coming, you guys. Appreciate it, and it's good feedback. Item 10E.
Does that mean that we're gonna revisit the whole project? This is like a deferral,
No. What
or
they're
it's gonna
saying
be?
is what they're saying is they just don't want the last structure on the T, and I'm saying to the staff is look at it and take their issues, their process into consideration. We're approving it down. Yeah. That's really what we're saying.
Because I
saying-
just, you know, for me, I have a couple questions about the
I'm
project.
sorry, okay.
I didn't know, like, for me, the price seems a little high if we're going to remove any structures. I mean, one is the price, the two, I want to understand the efficacy from a hurricane standpoint, if those.
I think it's all engineering.
They will have to meet building code and will be designed to meet 175 mile an hour wind loads for hurricane.
And how many?
And that's part of the reason they're not cheap.
There's 11.
I mean, it seems pretty high ticket for this project. So, you know, question is how many structures, based upon their recommendations, the fishermen here, how many structures would have to be removed in order to come? Just one? That's it?
Yeah, the one on the T. Yeah, there's 11 that go down the middle, and there's one on the T.
And we can look at the location because, you know, my recollection is you're fishing, like he said, the gentleman said, you want to be 300 yards off the beach, so you're fishing if the large pavilion was closer to the T intersection, I would think that would be probably address all concerns because you'd leave a lot more room for the fishermen but you'd still have.
Yeah, but I think what we want to do is on the last one, on the point, I mean, on the actual T, is that you've got these folks' information on the record, call them, talk to them, go out there,
Yeah, we can
talk it
review all
through,
that and get
talk
into
it
more
through and figure it
detail.
out, so, yeah, that's all. But there's 11 that go down the middle, Dana. They're not talking about
No,
those.
I mean,
They're
it's
talking about the one on the
aesthetically,
T.
it's interesting,
Yeah,
and I
yeah, no, I
think
think
it will
it's
be iconic.
As long as
once
it's
it is
hurricane proofs, I agree.
Yeah, but that's, those would
And
be
we're
my
looking for
reservations
something
about
that,
it.
that's going to provide the shade on the pier, but it's going to be something you're going to see up and down the beach.
Right.
So it'll be
That's the
kind of
point.
a signature
It'll be
item
interesting.
from an art standpoint for the city. 'Cause
No.
I mean, from every condo, you're going to see it, from every boat going by, you're
Yeah.
going to see it. It's going to make the pier a very, very unique aspect to the city, which we're excited about.
So I agree. I think the architecture, you did a good job, so thank you.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah, I just didn't want to have to come back to us because I think we got it, we got enough clarity from the fact that it's approved, so. Okay, great. Item 10E,
A resolution authorizing the city manager to issue a purchase order to Thompson Pump and Manufacturing for the purchase of 3 water pumps.
all right, Richard, you're up tonight.
Okay, back at it again here. What this is for is, about, I don't know, a month and a half ago or so, we had a very bad rain event, caused some flooding in Golden Shores, which was a concern. The city had to rent pumps in order to provide some resolution to that. What we're looking at now is the purchase of some pumps that we would have available to use in the future for other storm events that may arise, as well as the fact that we're going through a pump station upgrade, and through that process, we'll need to have some pumps to make sure we don't have any flooding issues then. So the idea of these 3 pumps is that they'll be totally mobile and self-sustaining, so we'll be able to just move them around wherever
So you can
we have
use them
an
wherever you
issue
need
in the
them.
city.
Yeah.
Whether it's on North Bay Road over here, or whether it's
Yeah.
in Golden Shores, or whether it's on 172nd, we'll be able to utilize these pumps to help us out throughout the city, prevent any flooding.
Any questions regarding the pumps?
I have a question.
Larissa?
I got a lot of calls because I live in Golden Shores, and the manager and I met with a number of people, I think Stan as well. The one portable pump is going to be always in Golden Shores, is that correct?
That's correct. Right now, we've got a rental pump there until we get these, and once we get the other, once we have 3, we'll be able to, not only be able to cover an emergency anywhere in the city, we'll definitely be well-equipped for when the pump station has to be down for the rebuild of it.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, do we hear a motion?
So moved.
Do we hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye? Okay, motion carries. Item 10F,
A resolution approving a 4th amendment to the agreement with Perkins and Will Architects, Inc. for the architectural design services for the Government Center Annex. Sorry, that title was revised. It's for the pedestrian overpass
The
bridge at
pedestrian bridge,
180th
yeah.
Street.
Okay, this item here is a compilation of a few things. As you know, the project's going through DOT review, so there's some additional services required to meet the DOT criteria. One is some cost estimating work. One is a wind tunnel study of the bridge structure to make sure it's going to be stable through different wind scenarios. And then the bulk of this is also some additional services that were addressed at the start of the project, but never formally run through the commission approval. So we're tightening all that up and getting this to a stage where we can get this completed.
Okay, any questions regarding the architectural services? Okay, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Item 10G,
A resolution approving a 1st amendment to the agreement with Perkins and Will for the professional architectural services for the interior modeling of the Government Center lobby and Gateway Park for the internal space build-out.
Yeah, this is additional services for construction administration for the architect and his team, due to the fact that the original scope, when we signed his contract, was 6 months, and now we're going on more of a 12-month build-out, so we need to increase the fees for construction admin. And that's what we're doing with this.
Any questions? Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 10H.
A resolution authorizing the city manager to issue a purchase order to Rep Services for the purchase of 40 trash receptacles, 20 recycle units, and 40 single bench seats.
Well, maybe we can tack on the recycling units for the school.
These are a little more expensive.
Yeah, I was
than
going to
what
say, yeah.
They're using, but this is just basically a resolution to purchase more of everything for use in our bus stops and throughout the city and at beach accesses.
Any questions? Yeah, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item 10I.
A resolution approving an agreement with All Webs Enterprises for the purchase and installation of 2 drainage wells and concrete pads.
Okay, this is a project to add two additional drainage wells on 172nd Street in the area of the fire station where we have continual flooding issues. In analysis of the drainage in that area, there are not enough drainage wells for the area that it covers, so this would be additional 2 wells that we have run through the permit process and are ready to construct.
Okay, any questions
I have a
regarding the
quick
wells?
question.
Shoot.
Just in that area, that's where we have the town center park, would that area be disrupted at all as far as access to the park or parking when this is being done?
Not to the park itself, no.
Not to the park.
We'll have to coordinate with the fire department a little bit, but that shouldn't be a problem for us either.
Okay.
Good.
I think this is great. This
Yep.
is really all part of what a city does and really very proactive and very important. So
Okay.
very pleased. I'd like to move to
You can make the
approve.
motion. Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, Richard.
Thank you very much. Y'all have a good evening.
Thank you, Richard. Appreciate it. Item 10J.
A resolution accepting the recommendation of the city's Public Arts Advisory Committee for the approval of Art in Public Places application number 2019-02 submitted by RDR Seashore LLC developer for the placement of a vertical garden wall fronting Collins Avenue on the property located at 18975 Collins Avenue.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. This item is to request approval for the public art component of the Casa Armani condominium project located at 18975 Collins Avenue. The artwork consists of a vertical garden along the frontage of Collins Avenue. On August 6th, the presentation and proposal was received by the PAC and recommended approval with the condition that they enter into a perpetual easement agreement for the maintenance and obligations of the vertical garden wall. If you have any questions, the applicant is also here if you can answer any questions.
I think it's beautiful. Yeah. Any questions?
No.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item 10K.
A resolution accepting a perpetual easement agreement from the state of Florida from the state of Florida Transportation for the purposes of constructing, operating, and maintaining the Sunny Isles Beach pedestrian bridge over State Road A1A, Collins Avenue, between 178th Street and 180th Street.
Okay, so this is the request approval to enter into the perpetual easement agreement with FDOT for the purpose of constructing, operating, and maintaining the pedestrian bridge between 178th and 180th Street.
Great. Any questions?
No.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Item 10L.
A resolution awarding request for proposal number 19-12-01 to and approving an agreement with Southeastern Printing Company for printing and mailing services.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Commission. This item is to enter into an agreement with Southeastern. We actually have previously done work with them, have been very happy with their services. They were the most responsible and responsive bidder, so we'd like to proceed with them. Primarily, they'd be printing our quarterly Living magazine and our monthly Islander.
Very good. Any questions for Sylvia?
I just wanted to get clarification. The cost includes the shipping, correct?
The postage.
The postage,
yep.
rather. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Item 10M.
A resolution approving a First Amendment to the agreement with Port Consolidated for the purchase of gasoline and diesel fuel.
Honorable Mayor and Commission, this is a renewal of our agreement with Port Consolidated. They provide gasoline and diesel fuel services for us, delivery, and primarily it's used for our shuttle buses, but also for some of our public works vehicles.
Any questions regarding the fuel contract?
No.
No?
So moved.
There a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 10N.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sylvia.
Approving a First Amendment to the agreement with PFM Financial Advisors for financial consulting services.
PFM.
Honorable Mayor and Commission, this is the First Amendment to an original 3-year contract with PFM. This would be for 2 years and an amount not to exceed $50,000 for each year. And this would be for financial advisory services on an as-needed basis to include potentially a credit rating for the city and then debt financing options over the next few years.
Okay, any questions?
No.
Do we hear a motion?
So moved.
Do we hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Item 10O.
A resolution approving a Second Amendment to the agreement with MSL PA, formerly known as Moore Stevens Lovelace, for professional auditing services.
Mayor and Commission, this is the Second Amendment and the last renewal for our audit firm, MSL. We've been satisfied with their services for the last 4 years, and this renewal would cover fiscal year 20 to 21, which would be the last one, and then we'd have to go out to bid at that point.
Okay, any questions regarding the audit?
No.
Please?
So moved.
No? Do we hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tiffany. Item 10P.
A resolution ratifying amendments to the agreement with Sea Diversified to perform shoreline surveying and mapping consulting services.
Catherine.
Good evening. This is just a renewal. We use them for mapping the shoreline or surveying the shoreline on an as-needed basis. It's not every year, and it's to supplement what the county does, which is typically every other year.
Great. Any questions?
No.
Do we hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item 10Q.
A resolution approving change order number 28 relating to the agreement with Roll Global Networks for the Collins Avenue Utilities Undergrounding Project.
The gift that keeps giving.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, 28, huh? I know you've all seen a detailed memo on it, and I really, rather than me say anything, do you have any particular questions? Or I guess the one comment I would like to make, with the efforts expended by and the relationships that the city manager has with District 6, FDOT, and their secretary, we were able to actually mitigate many of these issues. We were challenged with some issues where FDOT was trying to impose a stronger code requirement, and Chris speaking with Mr. Wolf, we were able to get some real considerations that have dramatically reduced the impact of all of this.
Okay, so the question I get all the time is just timing. It's like, when are lights going to light up, and when are they going to be installed,
well,
and when's it going to be over?
Well, I did have one little bit of a presentation here. We've been working on streetlights. Forget the undergrounding. We've been working on streetlights. I was here before you in January of 17 when you authorized us to actually begin the purchase process of getting the material. We came back to you in September of 19 when we had encountered some of the FDOT challenges. We were back again in February of 19. I'm sorry, that was September 18. Should be February 19. We were back when we really started to understand the issues of the challenges and the design deficiencies, keeping in mind the design was presented to us by FDOT. It was not our designers, it was an FDOT group that did design and did the existing condition surveys. And that's why we're back again today. Of the 142 streetlights that we're going to install, 103 of them are going to be on spread footings now instead of the auger cast piles. The good news, as I told this to Chris the other day, many of the foundations that we had previously purchased, the precast, we'll be able to incorporate into the Golden Shores project, which is outside of the preview of the FDOT, and we'll have a much better project. We are, in this change order 28, we are extending Roll's contract to September of this year. If everything goes according to plan, I believe that we can be very, very near the end of street lighting installation. We are dependent upon the utility conversion project from 163rd to 183rd, where the existing overhead lines exist. We've got to get those lines down. We've done all of the foundations that we can do. We just can't erect poles now. But
So you're saying in September?
I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful. I'm optimistic.
Put a stake in the ground.
I knew you would say that.
Yeah.
So that's where we are. If there's any details, questions, I'd be happy to address.
Okay.
So,
Dana.
It's possible that this could be the last change order on this particular
No,
project?
I know we'll be back at least once more. If you recall, back in the third change order, you authorized us to extend the street lighting project to the north. The FDOT project only took us to 191st Street. You authorized us to purchase the material to go to 195th Street. What that did not include was the actual engineering required to do that work. We requested a proposal from the engineers that had done the work for FDOT, and we felt as though their response was inappropriate. We received a proposal today that is 1/4 of what the previous engineer charged. It's the group that we're using to work in Golden Shores. They will engineer the lighting, but I have to come back to you and present that. And I hate to say it, but there is always the inevitability of some other unforeseen condition out there. But I think we've solved the engineering problems. We've got the foundations. And if we don't run into any unusual soil conditions as we're excavating for the spread footings, I hope I can come back to you one more time.
So to Paul and the manager's credit, the engineering that was negotiated with FDOT is substantially less onerous than what they were trying to impose upon us. So it would have been a dramatically greater timeline with the engineering that they were imposing upon us. So it's all, some of this gets lost on us, but a lot of times it's just, it's nuanced engineering that can cost you a lot of money and a lot of time. But so to Paul and the manager's credit, this is a pretty major victory, although it doesn't feel like it because it's been so long.
And expensive.
And expensive, yeah. Okay, any other questions?
No.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you, Paul. Okay, moving on to our add-ons. We're in the home stretch, hopefully. Item 10R.
A resolution expressing support for Florida Senate Bill 1752 and Florida House Bill 1317, which would revise and strengthen criminal penalties relating to violations for condominium associations.
Okay, Dana.
Okay, so continuing on the path of what was originally SB 610, which was introduced in the last legislative session. I think this legislation that's been introduced by Senator Pizzo goes even further and has some very important and significant reforms, putting criminal penalties on condominium association violations. So I'll just read into the record. State Senator Jason Pizzo and House Representative Javier Fernandez have introduced important new reform legislation to more effectively prosecute fraudulent and criminal acts in condominiums under SB 1752 and HB 1317. If adopted, this legislation will revise criminal penalties for kickbacks and the use of association debit cards, provide criminal penalties for certain violations relating to official association records, and largely expand criminal penalties for fraudulent voting activities related to association elections. The legislation will also lower the threshold for website posting requirements and require condominium associations to provide checklists and affidavits to official records requesters. SB 1752 and HB 1317 reflect continuing progress in combating condominium fraud and abuse and creating greater transparency for condominium unit owners in our city and throughout the state of Florida. So,
don't get too excited. The state's got to approve it.
right. So, but again, this is every bit counts. Whether it's having the ombudsman here or having some arbitration, a forum for arbitration, or strengthening the criminal penalties for violations, it all matters. And it matters most of all to the residents of our city because we want protection. We want to be able to see enforcement when violations occur. And I want to point out one other aspect of this, this legislation, that it clarifies, and this is very important because it dovetails into official records. So now the accounting records include all bank statements, canceled checks, and credit card statements, all invoices, transaction receipts, deposit slips, or other underlying documentation that substantiates any receipt or expenditure of funds by the association. So I think this is, again, another important component of continuing transparency, continuing help and assistance to residents and unit owners. So we really want to see the balance here, and hopefully we can all support this legislation. We can write to our state senator, our state representative, and see us continuing along the path of, creating greater balance, greater transparency, and greater authenticity in condominium operations.
Good, thank you. So, who was here when, Chris, how long ago did Renee come by, Senator Garcia?
3 years ago.
About 3 years?
3 years ago.
So when a lot of the legislation started to get ginned up in Tallahassee regarding condominium reform, Senator Garcia came by, and we all sat with him. Were you in that meeting, Dana?
I was there.
Okay, yeah, we all sat with him. We basically gave him a laundry list. I mean, we gave him we threw the kitchen sink at him. Mm-hmm. Of course, he got about 10% of it done because that's just how it works in Tallahassee, a lot of lobbying going back and forth. But, to Dana's point, they're chipping away at it, which is good. Obviously we're trying to do things we can do that we can control locally, but this is at the state level because we're preempted from doing this kind of stuff, at our level. But the fact is, they are chipping away at it, which is good. And literally, I don't think anything that I've seen wasn't on our list originally that we gave him 3 or 4 years ago, because he had never really been to a community like ours that was 98% condominiums. So he got a profound education, pretty quickly about, what some of the issues are that we face as a community and that y'all face as residents of condos. So thank you, Dana.
I'd like to also add that, again, when the original reform legislation came out, of course they had certain criminal penalties, but what this legislation in particular on ballot and voting and election fraud, and that was an outgrowth of actually a best practices seminar that I moderated a couple of years ago, because the idea was, here's a law on the books, but no way to really enforce it. So in particular, election fraud and ballot fraud is very much clarified and expands on those penalties. So I think it's a really important enforcement tool.
Yeah. Okay, Fabiola, do you want to speak on this issue?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. I want to thank you, Dana, for your effort to represent us in passing, hopefully, these bills and resolutions. We are neighbors we live in the same neighborhood, and we are getting hit with we don't have no choice to pay a special assessment after a special assessment. They just approve it and we have to pay it. They are basically making another mortgage in our homes. And any effort, even at 10% of the wish list, is something. And thank you, all of you. Hopefully it will pass over there, and thank you for supporting. Okay, thank you.
Fabiola. Very nice. Okay. Item 10S.
Mayor, we need a motion.
Wait,
I'm sorry.
Can I just ask a question?
Oh, that's right. It's actually yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I have a question. First of all, I want to echo what Commissioner Goldman was saying, that Senator Pizzo has certainly been a true partner and friend to our city. we met with him when we were just in Tallahassee. He answers calls at all times and texts. Has this passed the committee hearings already?
It's gone through the first committee, it passed, I think 10-0, and then there are 2 other committees that it has to go through. I know the clock is ticking, but
Right.
I think there are 3 committees, and it's going to go through the 2nd and 3rd round.
Do you know when the next one is?
I'm looking for it because I'm hoping to fly up and.
Okay, and the reason I bring that up is because it's really important that for anyone that came out here in support to contact Senator Pizzo with your personal story, because he uses that when he's fighting for this, and they need personal stories. Not people can't all fly out there, but they are so serious when they use personal stories. When we were just there, they had a little 8-year-old girl come up with a story. That was, let me tell you how effective. But any emails, phone calls, anything that you can provide will be very helpful, and really time is of the essence because it's moving very, very quickly. Yeah, absolutely. We'll figure out a way to post it on social media. Chris, is that okay? To post Jason Pizzo's.
Yeah,
okay.
basically how to contact.
Yeah, we'll post it on social media.
He has really been a true champion, as Larissa said. He has been a real true champion of condo reform, taking on the mantle after Rene Garcia was turned out. So
and what's great is he's our senator. So and he's smart. He's a very very smart guy. I mean,
and he's actually now Sunny Isles Beach resident.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yes.
He moved over the bridge.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I knew his wife works in Aquilina, so I know that much. So I know. Okay. Very good. So do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. We express support. Okay. Item 10S.
A resolution authorizing the City of Sunny Isles Beach to join the Florida Hate Crime Coalition.
Okay. This resolution is in support of the Anti-Defamation League has established a coalition. So again, I'm going to read from into the record. Anti-Semitism in Florida is a growing threat to its Jewish community. Florida has one of the largest growing Jewish populations in the United States. The Anti-Defamation League, a leading anti-hate organization, was founded in 1913 due to an escalating climate of anti-Semitism and bigotry. The ADL's Florida office is on the front line of ensuring the safety of the Jewish community in Florida. It serves as the primary resource for victims of anti-Semitism, delivers anti-bias education programs, trains law enforcement about hate crimes and extremist groups, safeguards civil rights and the separation of church and state, confronts anti-Semitism on college campuses, provides security seminars to religious institutions, fields discrimination complaints of all kinds, advocates for Israel, and promotes interfaith relations. In 2016, the ADL established the Florida Hate Crime Coalition to advocate for an expanded comprehensive hate crimes law in Florida. Over 275 organizations, elected officials, and law enforcement leaders are members of the FHCC, including several of our neighboring municipalities, Bay Harbor, North Miami Beach, Surfside. FHCC's mission is to secure amendments to the Florida hate crime law. Our own Representative Joe Geller introduced House Bill 655, and in the Senate, Senator Rader introduced SB 940 in 2020 to expand the protections under the Florida hate crimes law. Joining the FHCC is an expression of our support and promotion of tolerance, inclusion, human rights, social justice, and public safety, and our collective opposition to manifestations of hate and acts of intolerance.
Okay, no issue. And any comments?
So there's an expansion, the legislation that I'm referring to, again, Joe Geller has spearheaded this. It expands the hate crimes law, and again, as one small city, we can do so much. But if we express our collective support with all of other cities and all municipalities and other bodies, we make a large impression. And again, it really is very timely and very, very important given the rise of hate crimes and actions around.
Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye? Okay, motion carries. Thanks, Dana. 10T.
A resolution approving a mutual aid and joint declaration agreement with the town of Medley, Florida.
Again, good evening, Honorable Mayor and Commission. This approval is for the renewal of our mutual aid agreement with the town of Medley. We actually utilize their training facilities and their range for our active shooter training throughout the year, so our officers do spend quite a bit of time there. So.
Okay, any questions of the chief?
Mm-hmm.
Do we hear a motion?
So moved.
Do we hear a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries. 10U.
A resolution approving a first amendment to the agreement with Pay by Phone Technologies to provide a mobile payment program for parking services.
So our original agreement with Pay by Phone was for 3 years. This is exercising one of the 1-year renewal options. They've been doing a good job. We've seen a 40% adoption rate, which apparently is pretty.
Yeah, it's good.
It's a good number.
Yeah.
When they look at it, I asked them how can we increase the adoption rate, and they said 40% is pretty good for the
Good
beginning.
penetration, yeah, yeah. I mean, there's those two apps, the one with the @ and the Pay by Phone, the two of them. I got them both, and I use them all the time. What's nice is they're all over the country now, too. So you go in any other city,
Yep.
they work everywhere, you know, so it's not like you got 15 apps on your phone. Okay, any questions for Catherine?
Nope.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
I just wanted to make a comment, which I didn't get to make earlier, but I just wanted to thank you for all the work you did organizing us and keeping us on track in Tallahassee, and I really appreciated everything you did, and I know it's not related to this, but it's the last time you're going to be up here tonight, so I just wanted to thank you for what you did.
Thank you.
So, okay. So, do we hear a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Okay, resolutions are done. We are in the home stretch here. We've got 2 discussion items and a handful of public speakers. Okay, item 12A.
So this is a discussion regarding, FDOT came, and I wanted, for the benefit of the city and the audience, to talk about some of these improvements to Haulover, because they really impact the south side of the city. So Chris, could you talk a little bit about FDOT's, the improvements that are anticipated through Haulover Park, because they are extensive?
What the commissioner is talking about is the state is going to be doing what they call a triple R from the south end of our city to the cut for Haulover Inlet. They're going to be basically resurfacing the roadway, but in addition to that, they're going to be putting in an additional path on the east side. There's a walkway, there's the wide path that's more inner that everybody walks or jogs on, and then they're going to be adding another path. In addition to that, they are going to be adding 2 signalized crosswalks. And then we have one that is actually, I think, starting now to be installed at 158th Street by Arlen House across. This was a requirement of the Ritz-Carlton project. So at the end of the day, there'll be 3 signalized crossings, one at the south end of our city, another one at the next major signal light in Haulover, and then at the next one. They couldn't put in, the plans do not show any kind of sidewalk on the west side. That's why they're adding the crosswalks signalized at these locations. This project is not scheduled to start for about 2.5 years. They had this preliminary information meeting here in our first floor meeting room. What was that? Was that last week or the beginning of this week? Yeah, about a week ago. And that's what we've got. There is a schematic of the plan and a fact sheet that, if we haven't already, I think we can make available to anyone who might be interested. But it's still a long way off. But it'll definitely be an improvement.
Hopefully the crossing lights might slow the traffic down a little bit coming out of Haulover into the city, because that's where we get slammed. You know,
It may.
When you come out of Haulover, the speed limit drops, but nobody slows down. So,
So I got a bunch of comments from one of the residents, one of the concerned residents. So they asked, among other items, why did we create 2 interior pathways? Is that just because they don't want people to have bicycle access on the road, or
I don't know. I
it just
don't
seems
know.
odd to have a double pathway.
They may be thinking, and I don't know if they stated this there. I don't recall it, but because of the terrain and because they're not putting any sidewalk on the west side, a lot of people do walk and bike and everything, kids with scooters, kids on their skateboards going down to the skate park. They'd like to keep all them on the inner path, which is the widest one, and they want to make another one. It doesn't sound like a bad idea if you're not going to put a sidewalk on the west side and you're going to make additional walkways. That could be the reason. I mean, I'm not sure. I don't recall them answering that.
Any talk about, the backup of the boats and the traffic and so forth? They're going to be any change, or that doesn't affect it at all?
I don't think so. Did anybody who was there, Susan, did you hear anything? Any effect on the boating, the boats or anything like that? No. It's pretty far off. I'm trying to think, what else did they say?
Question about the boats and the backup and how they were going to make it better, and they are putting an intersection light there so that they could better flow that traffic.
Yeah.
At the boat ramp.
Because that's a constant.
That's right. They're widening that side a little bit, aren't they?
Yes, they're going to widen
they're going to widen that ramp in, the approach
There's
ramp.
more of a right turn lane.
Yeah.
Perfect, okay. So
Yeah,
that will
because
be
it's
very
also,
helpful.
everything's double wide because it's a boat and a car, so right now it's almost like it's never been long enough. you know.
Okay.
Good.
That was it.
Okay, item 12B.
So I didn't know if there was going to be a discussion, but I just wanted to know, because we adopted that resolution for the CAC, that, whether there's some sort of a time limit for the appointments of that, or is this just open-ended, or?
I think it's open-ended.
So in other words, we're just, even though we approved the resolution, we're just going to wait and see when
Yeah, you just got to
anybody
get
gets
to
around
it.
to it.
Yeah, you just got
Okay.
to get to it, so.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, I've got some citizens speakers here. Thank you for waiting. Alex Carius? Alex? How you doing?
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Commissioners, and City Manager. My name is Alex Carius, and I represent the 18555 Collins Avenue Condominium Association. And since 2017, the next door construction project, also known as the Turnberry Ocean Club, has been going very strong and is nearing its outside completion. For the past few months, the project has been receiving extensions to their allowed working hours. Normal working hours are usually from 7 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. These hours were extended to 11:30 p.m., plus they were also allowed to work on weekends. Last night, they were working late, and we found that they had an approved permit to work until 2 a.m. According to Section 193-9 of the City Code, we are supposed to be notified in writing of the extension of the construction time request, along with the justification for the waiver provided as part of the application. 18555 Collins Avenue Condominium Association never received any such prior notification prior to the application. We did, however, receive a note from the project manager that their working hours were approved after the permit was approved. Last night's extension of the project working hours was never announced to us before or after the approval. Approving the construction to go on until 2 a.m. is horrendous, given that they start the next day again at 7 a.m. and only gives our residents a total of 5 hours of quiet time. Nobody can get a decent amount of rest to be fully functional the next day. Our residents have been made to endure sleepless nights and physical fatigue due to the construction noise. The noise is physically impacting the health and welfare of the residents. We had extensions of working hours that started on December 20th till January 20th from 6:30 to 11:30. Mind you, that was the holidays. January 20th now till February 20th, again from 6:30 p.m. till 11:30 p.m. On January 29th, our legal representative sent a letter to the city manager, which up to this point has not been answered. I'm here tonight to ask the city to please stop any more extension of working hours so that the residents can get some sleep. Even if they work on the inside of the now glassed-in building, the noise can still be heard in the units of our residents from the inside. Thank you very much.
So, are they getting notice or not getting notice? Because I get...
I don't know. I've got to look into that.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
No. Stan, do you have any information on that one?
We're researching now all of the notices that were sent. According to what we were told, the notices were sent, but we're confirming that now.
I'm the property manager, and I've been here since July, and the only time that I get a notice is when it's been approved, so nothing beforehand.
I mean, I think that we've got to be punitive, because if the notices are on the developer, we're doing the developer a favor. And if it's a notice of response, the developer isn't acting responsibly with the notices, then we got to tag the developer. It's very simple. I mean, because it's got to be punitive. Because if we don't have any teeth with the, if we don't have any teeth on it, because we've had these issues before. And so obviously, and we don't give out, the extended hours are much more, we're much more judicious now about extended hours. In the last 5 years, in Norman's day, there was more room between lots. People weren't as excited about it. Now with these infill projects, the project's getting built 50 feet off the building next door. People spent millions of dollars on their units. They don't want the building built in the first place, but nonetheless, we're having much greater, we have much greater concern now about extended hours, and there's a bigger light shined on it. But there's mechanisms in place. That's the thing. We've been over these mechanisms many times. Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. So, yeah, Larissa.
I just want to add that I got many phone calls and emails, and I spoke to many of the residents, and they are being heard. This is being taken very, very seriously, and we've met internally about this. So please know that, well, first of all, thank you for coming and waiting this long, but you are certainly not being ignored.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here. Okay. Howard Gordon.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. I think my building, Winston Tower 700, has become very...
Name and address for the record, huh?
Am I okay?
Yeah, name and address for the record.
Winston Tower 700, 290 174th Street. I'm in Unit 1011, Center Isles Beach. I'm the president of Winston Tower 700. I know my building's become very popular for the last couple sessions. The reason I'm here tonight, I saw a Facebook post from the Sunny Isles Beach Insider that caught my attention, so I decided to come and say a couple words. This is a huge disagreement between the board and the unit owners has erupted in Winston Tower 700 condo. The board is pushing an erroneous assessment ranging from $12 to $14 million using 40-year recertification as their excuse. Over 100 homeowners have signed a petition for full reinspection. The board refuses. Other Winston Towers condos have much lower assessments compared to Winston Tower 700. Recently, Miami-Dade County said they would build 3 commercial buildings for $15 million, and our board wants to spend $14 million, question mark, question mark. Phenomenal, to say the least. Instead of listening to unit owners, the board has taken a route of insults, lies, and deception. We will be representing our case tonight at the SIB hearing. So I decided to come, and this is my response. The board is proceeding per the instructions of a March 20th, 2019 letter from the City of Sunny Isles Beach about the mandatory 40-year recertification process. The board interviewed 12 engineering firms between 2018 and November 2019, selected 2 finalists, and during a board of directors meeting in November 2019, interviewed them one more time and chose one out. A reputable firm whose proposal was most comprehensive, with an excellent references from Winston Towers 300 and other buildings, which were verified by the HOA property manager. The engineering firm was hired in November 2019, and within 3 weeks performed a thorough structural evaluation of the property per the requirements of Miami-Dade County, including all balconies, pool deck, and garage. The engineering firm prepared an extensive report with over 2,000 pictures of the property, balconies, pool deck, and garage roof, and drawings showing the findings of each balcony. The report included an estimated scope of work with an estimated project of amount for structural repairs based on average prices for each line item from other recent projects. The total estimated amount of structural work is about $12 million as such estimated average prices. Such numbers does not include other repairs required by comply with the 40-year recertification project, electrical systems, and other requirements for our AC system. The board communicated such information during a board meeting on January 8th, including 2 detailed PowerPoint presentations, followed by a question and answer session with the engineering firm and the homeowners. The board presented another detailed up-to-date during a second meeting, February 12th, 2020, with another detailed PowerPoint presentation, followed by a question and answer session with, again, the engineering firm. During such meetings, the board reconfirmed its previous announced support for a second inspection to be entrusted to a newly created committee of homeowners where opposing homeowners were invited to participate. Such confirmation was clearly stated in the PowerPoint presentation currently available in the HOA website. Following each of those meetings, the board has circulated several documents with facts and responses to questions, concerns, allegations, and accusations and published them to the HOA website. The board has also uploaded to the HOA website all documents pertinent to this project, plus supporting information from various sources, and activated a message board in the HOA website to update homeowners. The board has requested non-binding proposals from 10 qualified contractors to be delivered to the HOA attorney's office and get more accurate estimates of the cost of the project. After all this work has been done and continues being done, the board decided that in order to go forward and pass an assessment of such potentially large magnitude, even with a second opinion, it was going to be necessary to get a re-election, to get a renewed vote of confidence and a mandate to go forward with a majority of the 391 homeowners. Or if not re-elected, the new board would have to take over this mandatory 40-year recertification project. The signatories of this letter mentioned above do not represent the majority of the homeowners. Several homeowners have confirmed that they signed based on misinformation and they have withdrawn their support to such letter. The board has called for a new election scheduled for April 22nd, 2020, and announced that all major decisions about the project will be postponed until after the election. The board cannot be more professional, diligent, honest, trustworthy, and yet some homeowners keep making unfounded accusations and allegations. It says more about them than the board. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Howard. Okay. Well, I think we're the clearinghouse for condo drama these days. Okay, Nadia Edward. Nadia, did you want to speak?
Good evening. I'm Nadia Edwards.
Pull the mic there. Perfect. Yeah.
Okay, I'm
perfect.
a little short.
It's okay.
I'm Nadia Edwards. I live in Winston Tower 700. I own there 2 apartments, and I also have the exclusive distinction to be a member of the board. I'm the treasurer in Winston Tower 700. And I have listened to the people who have spoken against us, who have maligned us for the last 2 months, who have besmirched us and defamed us in meetings, on the corridors, in elevators, on Facebook, and in front of you. Yes, I know the people is always right, and we are a minority board, but we have been selected and elected by them, and they put their vote of confidence in us, and because of a recertification project that is required and mandated by the county and the city, I guess, the money speaks, and right now, because they find that the procedure we followed was not good enough, we are suffering extreme abuse and harassment by some, and I would say not all, because many people come to us and tell us, hang in there, don't despair, stay strong. Now, it is usually the people who are right and the privileged board who works for nothing and out of volunteering and out with their skills and education and experience, they volunteer all and their time especially. Now, let me tell you what's going on. We are faced with disrespectful, rude, prone to angry outbursts every time we have a meeting. Screaming, shouting that cross the line into abusive verbal harassment is de rigueur. Accosting board members and residents on corridors, insulting the board, spreading foolish rumors and undocumented accusations. I have a lot of examples. Just tonight, I talked to somebody who lives in my building, and I said, I am a CPA, a retired CPA. I have worked for international 100, Fortune 100 companies for 30 years as an international and local auditor. And I didn't do anything else in my life, in my business life, except being an auditor for international companies. I'm going to be short. And I did an audit on Winston Tower 700 before I got on the board because I wanted to know that everybody is above board. Our board signed a code of ethics. I speak on behalf of them and through my competence, and what I could prove is that nobody on our board is a crook, a thief. I was just told that they trust me, but they don't trust somebody else, and so on. Everybody who I worked with is above board. I cannot go into their bank accounts, but I did audits, and they are okay in my book. They are spying on us. They film me more than I would be filmed in Hollywood. They stay in the bushes when we have a glass of wine in the gazebo, and they just watch us. And then they confront people who have a moment of peace with us or who are our friends. They report us to the state, to the Department of Professional Regulation. They come here to talk badly about us. We are not calling them troublemakers for nothing. They are troublemakers. You cannot keep a meeting. We had to call the police. It's a method of continuous intimidation. It's very difficult to work. Our office is bombarded with emails, with people who come to ask questions, with accusations that the engineer is not selected by us, as if we have a kickback from the engineer. The engineer was selected impartially by references and by our management on Google. We are at the end of the rope. We decided the election date is going to be April 22nd. I tell everybody, especially those people who are here, they are going on a slippery slope. They are facing disaster. They want to change the board. They want to change the engineers. It happened to Winston Towers 300. It happened to Winston Towers 100. I don't even know. They think this one is an exemplary place of Winston Towers 500. Now they have change orders. They want to change the board in Winston Towers 500. Stay with us, work with us. We gave them the possibility to create a homeowners committee and work constructively with us. They want another engineer. There is going to be more money. We want another engineer. They want another engineer. Come on board. Come on the committee, on the homeowners committee. We can have 7 good people on that homeowner committee. Let them work with us, not spread rumors, not call us thieves, not call us crooks, not tell us that we get kickbacks. In front of you, and thank you for giving me this platform, in front of you, I'm telling you, nobody steals 1 penny, nobody has a hidden agenda. These people who should open their eyes. I don't want to call them again troublemakers. They don't like the president. They don't like the board. I don't know what they have.
Okay, Nadia.
And so on
We get
and so
it.
forth. I'm
Yeah.
telling you in front of
We
you,
get it.
I declare Winston Towers board clean and above board
Okay.
and sign the code of ethics.
Thank you, Nadia. Okay. Okay. Jeanette.
Commissioners, city attorneys, didn't get you last time, sorry about that, city manager. Last time we met, I had a couple of issues we talked about with our park residents committee, if you call it that way. And I just kind of wanted to get an update on an issue, which was dogs in the park. I'll give you a little story that literally happened the other day. I was driving by Gwen Margolis Park, and I saw a woman in there with a dog, not on a leash, literally standing next to the sign that said, "No dogs allowed in the park." So I guess my question is, how is it enforced? How is it enforced? Is there a warning? Then is there a fine? Is there a way to...
Stan?
Stan?
Right.
It always ends up with me.
Stan's got broad shoulders.
Yeah. It is a violation of the code. We've been getting a lot more complaints about this lately. So we are approaching it on a more proactive basis. And usually when we send out a code officer, the person, leaves the park. So, but we can definitely do more education and we can do more enforcement.
Okay, great. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thanks. Last but not least, Rumi.
Hello again, everybody. I don't know from where to start. I'm not going to be long, but just I want to appreciate Mr. Russo for patience. He came. I was requesting to show something about the traffic on CVS and school, and he see it by eye, and Claudia was there because really CVS, let me ask, if have somebody get out from the CVS, cannot go left turn on 183rd because it's not possible. Okay, have to go on Collins. To get on Collins, have to make a right turn only. To get left on Collins, it has to go like I have to go to Golden Shores. Do you have idea? This left, when the Collins is full, nobody give you. It's no stop. I don't know, Collins, to get out, make a left turn from CVS is 5 minutes from my house. Take a long time. The turn left from CVS to 183rd, I cannot go because always one line is full. I have to make a left turn. It's not possible. I think that's we discuss. Yeah. And I'm sure he's gonna take care of that. And I want to ask, when is gonna start the underground project in Golden Shores?
Chris.
Okay. So on the first issue of 183rd Street and Collins and the Publix, yes, we've spent some time out there. Claudia's been out there. I've been out there. Rumi's been out there. We looked at this as two issues. One seems maybe a little bit more critical than the other. There's the intersection of Atlantic, 183rd, and the Publix exit and entrance on 183rd. And Claudia's had already spent a lot of time on that one because we did have some recommendations in the Transportation Master Plan with regard to that, that she's seriously looking at. She is just away, couldn't be at the meeting tonight, but she'll be back on Monday, and I'm going to go over that with her. Now, Rumi has an idea that I have not had the opportunity to talk to the chief yet about, which is what she was just explaining. We got to take a look at this. We do have this at other intersecting roads with Collins, and her point here is that perhaps not having it where the one lane has to go left and the other lane has to go right. if we didn't have the designation on the right lane, since there is 2 lanes north,
Yeah.
that might take some of the pressure off, because then you get somebody coming out there, crossing the road, even though they're not supposed to do it, and then they cause a backup. And it does happen repeatedly.
We had a huge debate when we, remember that, Norman? I remember Renan was here, we had a huge, because that exit is so close to the corner. That's the issue.
Yes.
The exit is one car close to the corner. And when Norman was the mayor, I remember Renan came in, we almost didn't approve it, because and that's why we put the bollards up, because
but
it was a mess.
this street can go straight and right.
Yeah, I understand.
You know,
Yeah.
it's gonna be relief.
Rumi, that kind of
traffic.
stuff is for the manager.
Okay.
It's smarter than me, because I'm not a traffic guy. I'm not an engineer, but I just remember.
You're not,
Yeah.
but I'm telling you,
Yeah.
even to get from CVS pharmacy.
Yeah,
Okay,
I understand.
I didn't go left because I know I cannot go,
Yeah.
but going on
Yeah,
Collins.
yeah, getting into the left turn lane is hard.
After you
Yeah,
cannot.
You can't do it, I know,
It's horrible.
I know. Because we're so
It's
close to the corner. That's why we almost didn't approve that opening in the first place.
Tell
Yeah,
to fix it, nothing.
yeah, okay. So, I
Okay.
think Chris is aware.
For
All right.
the underground.
On the undergrounding, without getting into all the details right now, since Craven and Thompson, the engineering firm, is through quite a bit of their work, we're working on the street lighting plan, because as we mentioned to you before, it looks like we can probably get street lighting in about 75% of it before we do, or while we're doing the undergrounding, the work that has to be done in the roadway. Our overall engineering plans for the undergrounding should be completed by the end of this year. We'll be bidding out by the first quarter of 2021, and by mid-21, we should be starting on the construction.
Starting.
Yes, because we're just in the process of engineering the whole plans right now, as you know. We
Okay.
started a number of months ago. So this is, I mean, it's a long
These take a long
process.
time, you know, these don't happen quick,
But
so.
anticipating you might ask that question, we went over this the past couple of days with our consultant.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rumi. Okay, one more, I can't read your name, I'm sorry. Is it Luslana? Is it? Svetlana, okay, I'm sorry.
Hi,
couldn't
good
read your
evening,
handwriting.
everybody. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and the commissioners. My name is Svetlana. I live in Winston Towers, 700, apartment 1118. And I mean, I don't have any speech written or printed on the paper on the iPhone, and so I'm just going to speak from the heart. And I didn't actually plan to speak in here, but I represent a very large group of people, of our homeowners of Winston Towers 700. And yes, we do have a post on the Facebook, and we try to approach every media we can, just because we're trying to get our word out, because we're getting slammed with the enormous assessment, which is much larger than any other Winston Towers been through. A 14 million figure comes to from 25 to 62,000 per apartment. And it's for a lot of people in our building, it's a second mortgage or filing a bankruptcy, and a lot of us just cannot really take that. And that's why we're trying to get our word out. And all we actually ask our board of directors in several meetings is to hire an independent engineer to re-inspect entire building, entire balconies, and have a second opinion. And the board refused us. They said they're only going to inspect 10 of the balconies just to confirm the findings of the previous engineer. And a lot of people in our building don't feel that this is the right way to go, because if you're buying a car, you would go to several dealerships and you'll shop around. If you do a renovation in your apartment, you will bring different contractors and have them giving you a quote and then compare the prices. However, we've been, basically the board just moving on with this one engineer they found with an over-exaggerated price on this assessment, and all we want to have is a second opinion and find a better solution for the homeowners, because we have a lot of different examples. Like, for example, Winston Towers 400, their numbers are 2 to 3 times they did the same scope of work, went through the same recertifications, and they are much smaller than what we have, 4 to 6 million, that what they've paid. So this is a very significant difference for, for any building. And, sorry. So basically, we're just trying to, that's all we want. We just want to find, we just want to get it to the,
I understand. Yeah.
So we're just
trying,
we just need a second opinion, and we just want to make sure that, you know, that we find the right engineer and the right contractor to do the work for our building. And
the one thing I would warn, be careful shopping for an opinion you want to hear. That's the only, you know, when it comes to engineering, these types of things, that's the thing you got to be careful of. Because I understand. I mean, it's expensive, and, you know, and unfortunately, a lot of the older buildings in the city face this, you know, with the 40-year certification. It happens across the board. And it's very tough being a board member. Like being on the commission or being the mayor, I can tell you. It's no picnic most of the time because, you know, when people disagree with you, they're very passionate. You know, they're very passionate about, you know, what happens in their own backyard, obviously. And, but I, you know, what I would encourage you is, you know, I know your board members. I would encourage you to work with your board. You know, I mean, you know, I know it sounds like you're at an impasse now, but I would encourage, you know, put the committee together, work with the board, because ultimately, it sounds like a lot of work's been done. You know, a lot of work's been done, whether you agree with it or not. I mean, it sounds like a lot of work's been done, and I know a lot of your board members a long time, so.
No,
yeah.
I completely understand that, but the thing is, the reason for the committee was, and
Yeah.
why some of us were elected to that committee, is to find that second opinion.
Sure.
But however, we're still being told that no, we cannot inspect all of the balconies in our building and only needs to
Usually what will happen is with a second opinion, and one of our engineers is here, they'll do a sample set. That's what they're saying. What they're saying is they'll take a sample set of the first engineer's work, inspect it, say if everything is identical by the second engineer, you save a lot of money by not doing 100%. That's what they're probably suggesting. I mean, our engineer here is Richard, but that's not uncommon when you're looking for not when you're throwing the first engineer out, but if you're looking for corroboration, that's a very common method of kind of doing that. I know it doesn't make common sense maybe, but the fact is that sample set will give the second engineer a confidence interval, you know, like a confidence percentage that says, okay, we can trust what this guy said, or we found 3 anomalies. No, we can't trust it. We got to go further. Usually what will happen is they'll test, you know, I'm an engineer by training, but they'll test, you know, they'll test the 10, and if they don't find anything wrong, they get comfortable that the work was done properly. If they find something wrong, they keep going. That's usually how it works. So, so it's not, I know it sometimes in the eyes of the public, some of this stuff doesn't make, you know, you want 100%, you know, because you think you're being more conservative. But what I'm hearing is not out of the ordinary for an engineering study for a second opinion, but that's my own 2 cents on that one. If anybody else has got anything else to add. I mean, it's tough. I know it's tough. I know it's a lot of money. So, you know, and I can see why the passions are high. But you know, have a little empathy, too, for the board members. It's brutal. You know, believe me, when folks are mad at you, you know, I've sat up here taking a lot of bullets. I mean, when folks are unhappy about things, you know, all of a sudden, all the conspiracy theories come out and I mean, you know, they come at you with these crazy things that, you know, and here you're trying to be a public servant, or in the case of your condominium, you know, the folks are just trying to, you know, basically volunteer their time and do what they think is the right thing. So, but unfortunately, you know, passions get high, and especially when there's this much money involved, you know. But you know, you understand.
I completely understand that. We're just comparing the number we are getting to the numbers the other building got, and that's obviously raises the suspicion.
And that may be worth a study in and of itself. You know, you ask the folks that are the financial folks to look at it, because if you don't know exactly what the scope of the work in the other building was versus what the scope of the work your building didn't necessarily age the same way the other building is, or maybe it did. Who knows? But my point is, without a line-by-line comparison, the scopes of work. You know.
But we actually even had the work done. We are much newer than all the other buildings. We had the balconies done in 2005 and then re-inspected by the city in 2010.
Yeah.
So our assessment should be less than the other buildings, and we are higher than everybody else.
Yeah. So But I think it's an analysis. The bottom line is, you know, because it's an analysis. It's not, unfortunately, a lot of times what happens around here is, you know, people come up with perception, and when we do the real, and when we do the work, it's not that way. I'm not trying to take sides. All I'm saying is I think both sides are well intended. I just think you got to find some middle ground, you know, because ultimately you'll beat each other's brains out here and drive, you know, and drive each other crazy, and you're going to be back to square one, needing a 40-year certification and having to have a bunch of engineering work done, you know. So. And that's not something that we even control. You know, that's a South Florida Building Code requirement. So, but I would say, you know, try to find some common ground between your committee and the board. And unfortunately, it sounds like the board's kind of had it, and they want a new election, which we've all been there too. So, yeah. But
unfortunately, there are too many restrictions on the committee that we basically have to sign the paper, which doesn't really allow us to do anything. We just have to do whatever the board says.
Well, the only good news is this is the whole point of putting all these mechanisms in place, because if there's anything really going wrong, you know, if there's something genuinely going wrong, which doesn't smell like it here, but at least we'll have some mechanism in the future for folks to come in and, you know, have a,
we really appreciate that.
Have it on the arbitrator. So, okay. Thank you, Svetlana. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it. Not bad. 2 hours and 15 minutes. So, okay. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you for coming, everyone.